All right. Okay, there we go. We're back.
Oh, we're on.
Yep, we're on.
Oh, Jesus.
Welcome to the Clutch Kick. I'm one of your hosts, EG, and Greg suffering a drift hangover. He's sitting in Sydney. Actually, it's meant to be super dusty up there, isn't it, at the moment?
It's smoky as hell. It sucks.
Yeah. So it was kind of like that on the weekend on Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday was really bad, and then on the way home on Sunday, we're sort of like, oh, it looks like it's potentially storming in Sydney. And then we were like, oh, we're driving underneath this thing and had to turn lights on, and then it cleared and was fine. So, yeah, it's a lot of smoke. Maybe from all the skids on the weekend.
Yeah, I know. That was a lot of people.
Yeah.
That was a lot. I don't know if you did you see that photo that
It's like the time lapse thing that Marulin put up.
well, there was that, the time lapse, and there was someone else. I think it wasn't Emerson, it wasn't MPN Digital Guy.
Yeah.
I think it was someone else, and it was just like of that Marulin, the top end of Marulin, just everyone sitting and waiting.
Oh, yeah, I think I know the picture you're talking about.
Yeah,
Maybe by Speed Trap.
the speed trap.
Maybe. But yeah, an absolute shitload of cars.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, so for anybody who's not aware, but I think most people would be aware, over the weekend was the first 2-day drift event held by the Rev guys, and we did. It's probably the first 2-day event in New South Wales that's been held at 2 different tracks, I would say. 2 separate venues.
Yes, as far as I can remember, in my
Matt, you've been around for a fucking long time, so if you don't remember, then you're either too old or you're just old.
I'm just old.
Yep. So we're out at Wakefield Park on Saturday, and on Sunday we're at Pheasantwood Circuit at Marulin, and yeah, look, I don't think the weather could have cooperated any better than it did. Really, we got a little bit of rain on Saturday, but it was just enough to wash the track and make it grip up a whole bunch more after the rain had dried up. So, and then Sunday was perfect weather all day, a little bit of wind, but nothing too bad. So, yeah, from that side of things, yeah, perfect weekend. And then, if you want to drive bulk laps, just get a fucking 350.
Yeah, I know.
Just be done. Get a 350. If you want to be fast, get a convertible 350 and pull everything out of it.
I do they actually add anything for rigidity?
The Finkinator's in the chat, but maybe a little bit, but
Yeah, he'll probably catch on a little bit.
yeah. He's telling me it didn't get grippy, but it felt way grippier than it was before it rained after.
I don't know because I lost the brake caliper on the first lap.
Yeah. What time did you get back out there?
Jake and another mate Pat, I'm pretty sure they fixed up the car, and I was just trying to do a live stream, and it got suddenly like really windy, and then it started to rain, and that's when I pulled in. That's when I came off the live stream.
Yeah.
And then they fixed my car, so then that's when I went out. So whenever the live stream ended, probably about half an hour after that.
Okay. Yeah,
So
I
it
wasn't
like
watching. I wasn't.
4:32.
I wasn't watching the live stream because I was driving.
I know Danny was watching it because she was in there keeping out of the weather.
Yeah, sitting in the car.
Yeah.
Jake's asking how many tires I used for the weekend. I used a grand total of 4.
And what tires were they?
They were 245, 45, 18, power tracks.
Expensive?
Nah, I think I paid $68 a tire.
Cool. And is that just pick up or delivered?
No, it was dropped off to the workshop.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah,
It's cheap. It's cheap.
that's a big tire too, but I think because it's a fairly common size, it's not that expensive. So, um,
Pink's just commenting about if there's any difference to the chassis, and it doesn't sound like there is on the Z between the convertible and the
yeah, well,
hard
the
top.
car standard has like a big metal frame just behind the seats in both cars that holds the speakers and all that sort of stuff. So there's like a big frame that's sort of basically a B pillar brace between the two B
Yeah,
pillars.
but
So
surely it would twist in the middle though, like where the
yeah, but
doors
that's what I'm saying. It's got a big B pillar
go.
brace type thing already in there
Yeah,
that
but it's
sits
still
high,
twist. Like it's like a flat thing. Like
but that brace is high up. Like it goes
is
to the
it?
bottom, almost the bottom of the windows.
Oh really?
Yeah. That's
Okay.
like where the speakers mount behind the seat is all metal and bracing. Um, so yeah, but as Luke said, I would imagine the vert's heavier from factory. But once you do what Fink's done to his, it's definitely quicker because he did a nice sort of open wide line for me to chase him on the Sunday at Marulan, and I was trying to get on power before him, which I did on a couple of corners. And as soon as he was on power, he just slowly pulled away from me. So yeah.
Shine my gearboxes. Nah. Okay.
Oh, yeah. On that boy's dramas. So Jai had his brand new 14 out there on the weekend, and I had warned him and said, "I bet you'll smash the box on a gear change, not on a clutch kick or anything like that." And he went through our conversation and blamed me for his gearbox breaking on a gear change.
Well, yeah. I would agree with Jai actually.
That's my fault.
Yeah, it's your fault.
I'd say so too. Um, but yeah, triple plate clutches will do that sort of shit to a gearbox.
Really?
So
Why is he running a triple plate clutch?
I don't know. I don't know. He thinks he's got to keep all the torques somewhere, but all the torques ended up snapping an input shaft, so no good. So Saturday seemed like it ran fairly smooth. I think most guys were. There was 80 odd cars booked in for the weekend. Some cars didn't show up on the
Yeah, 5 cars didn't turn up. I think.
on the Saturday. I think some guys were just saving it purely for Marulan. Still a lot of cars, but I think guys were taking it easier in general on Saturday because I ended up being able to do some fourth gear entries, like rolling straight through the start line within the first sort of hour and a half, 2 hours of the day, which is at a normal Wakefield day super unusual that you get to roll through the
That
start
early.
line that
Yeah.
that early in the day, and then the fact that normally the last hour of the day the track is absolutely dead, but the last hour of the day the track was actually like absolutely honking. There was just shitloads of cars out on track. So a little bit of an unusual vibe because of having the next day, but definitely made for having a lot more variety out on track. And yeah, clearly guys were pacing themselves a little bit more. I think the only major drama from Saturday was Fink himself chasing a fairly rookie 370Z when
Bullying
yeah
a rookie
yeah
370Z.
when poor Joe was still getting comfortable, and Joe's had a bit of a mistake in front of Fink, and Fink's gone flying off the track to avoid Well, he's clipped a front of Joe, I'm pretty sure, and then it's sort of half sent him into a spin, and yeah, one of his wheels is dug into the ground and absolutely ripped the rear right corner out of that car. And I get to send Luke a pretty sizable fucking invoice for the weekend because it's basically a whole corner out of my original 350 that's in that car now, and then he ended up needing some other bits and pieces uh, on Sunday. So I think when you take parts without an agreement, right, you can just charge whatever the fuck you want.
I think I believe so.
Wait till you see my Eurofighter come from HGK off the back of how much my invoice for Fink's gonna be. No, speak it English. Yeah, that's all right, mate. Um, I know where he lives and I know where he's. Oh, I wonder if he's
He's probably moved
on.
again.
Nah. Oh, he's 13. It's probably at Black Hearts when he goes overseas, so I could just go and collect that instead.
Good thinking.
Yeah, there we go. Debt collecting. So I think that
What
was the
else?
only major drama of Saturday. I know you had whatever the fuck happened to your car.
The
You came into
caliper
the
fell off. Yeah.
yeah. All I saw was you come into the pits and you're like, oh look at my rear, and I'm like, your ass looks fine, mate. What's going on? And he's like, nah, like look at the like inside the wheel and the brake caliper pistons like hanging out of the caliper and the caliper's hanging off the half off the disc.
Yeah.
Um, did you work out what actually fell off it?
I don't know if it. Well, one of the slide pin bolts, I think, fell off. But it's really weird because I'm more careful about the brakes and the engine because it's like it's really important that you can stop. Like going is all right, it's fine, but like when shit goes wrong, then you want to be able to stop. So it's weird. Like I don't know why, unless I don't know, maybe we had a friend come and sabotage the car while I wasn't looking.
Uh, that's what happens when people don't like you, mate.
Yeah. Um, but then I went out and I found the calipers. But yeah, the biggest problem was the piston had come out because I think I tried to pull the handbrake to stop. And the handbrake,
Oh,
because on the S13, it's all in the in the same unit. Um, and that's come out and it's actually damaged the thread that the piston goes on, and I couldn't actually retract the piston back into the
yeah.
caliper.
Did you fuck the shit out of that disc?
I don't know.
You just slapped it back in, and did you find your
Yeah.
brake pad, or you got
Oh,
other
I
brake
did.
pads?
Yeah, I found both of them.
Well, they're on the track.
They were on the track.
Whereabouts?
So one was at the top of the hill. It was just sort of off in the dirt, and I just sort of spotted it. And
Did
the
you
other
go
one
out there at
was,
lunchtime and look for them?
yeah, I did. And then the other one was just near the dog leg.
Oh, okay, so not too far apart, but you've done it pretty early in your
It was
outlap.
the outlap.
Yeah. Did it make a nice horrendous crunch when it started grinding?
Yeah, it went bang. I thought, oh, okay, I've broken a shaft now, finally. But then I put my foot on the brake and nothing happened. And then I pulled the handbrake and nothing happened. I'm
Yeah,
like,
well,
okay. So
that'll.
I went down the hill and then I decided to like probably stop. I thought that would be a good idea. But then I thought, oh, maybe I could just go back in first and just sort of cruise back. And then I just stalled the engine when I stopped. That was it.
Well, that's not too bad then. But at least you got that fixed and back out on track.
Yeah.
Um, you ended up with, other than that, your car ran fine all weekend, right? How did
Besides the
you?
constant overheating, yeah.
Yeah, but was it constantly overheating or only later in the day on Sunday?
No, constant. It was like so Wakefield was a bit better because but as soon as we were doing those big laps where you come down the
Yeah.
straight and go in fourth gear, yeah, that was hot.
Um, yeah,
Like
well, mine
Marulan
ended
was
up.
like insane.
Yeah, mine ended up doing the same. Once we started doing after lunch, doing the long laps, I think I would get 2 before mine would start hitting my temp cut. So
Oh, really?
yeah. I could probably raise it 1 or 2 degrees and I'd be all right. Um, so yeah. Uh, but yeah, look, Saturday overall, flawless day. I think from the Rev guys, everything ran smooth, no dramas at all. And then
Except for your thing at the start of the day. I heard that over the radio.
oh yeah, Jesus Christ,
Yeah, I know.
is it
I,
Frank? Is
yeah,
that his name?
he's been there before. He must have just had a brain fart.
Yeah, he did. He came and apologized.
Yeah,
I think his name's Frank, right? Am I thinking of the right person? Frank in the white uh 100
yeah,
Curse Sunday.
GZS. I
Um,
I know his face. I don't actually remember his name.
yeah, really early on in the day. I think it might have been one of my first entries into to South. I've come out of South out of Short, and I've just sort of hit the connecting part of the road and started to transition back, and there was a white Toyota there, and we went very close to absolutely smacking the shit out of each other. And
Yeah.
um, I think he ended up with a bigger shit in his pants than I did, and I think he thought somebody was going to flog the shit out of him, but no harm, no foul. Nobody died. No cars were damaged. So
Yeah.
uh, yeah, bit of a near miss though. Early in the day, yeah. I think when it's slow to get everybody, uh, when it's slow for people to get on track and find their groove, and some people are in the groove and others aren't. I think that's when it gets a bit. And then once everybody finds their groove, it tends to sort of calm down. So yeah, pretty lucky, I guess. But yeah, no dramas there. And then I think I know that they do it at the Bash, having the social evening, but I think the social evening on the Saturday night's probably one of the biggest social evenings we've probably had at one of those events for a long time in New South Wales. The fact that pretty much everybody showed up, and the private room with the private bar, I think really was a goer because
That was
like
a really cool spot.
yeah, like honestly, like
Yeah.
the food was pretty shit. Um, but just having the private room with the private bar and being able to sort of yeah mingle within yourselves and not have to worry so much about yeah outsiders or upsetting other people, and you could sort of shit talk without um, you know upsetting people that aren't part of aren't part of the crowd. You know that like it does get
Yeah.
awkward. Um, yeah, I think it was really good. I know. Uh, Fink's yeah. From my understanding, Fink and Joe were the last two standing when they went for kick-ons uh, at Flamingos after being at the pub. So I think they're a
Yeah,
bit
but
disappointed in how
they
soft the
turned
New
up
South
late
Wales guys
though.
are. Well, that is true.
Yeah, because they
Uh,
turned up just as I was leaving.
yeah. Well, if you had actually stayed in town instead of going home,
It's only an hour and a bit home.
but yeah, look. Hopefully, more things like that has come uh, in the future because yeah, it definitely made I think a big difference, and getting more of those social occasions going, and the fact like I think people thought that the Rev guys were going to do their awards or like give out the prize packs and stuff on that night, but I think they had actually made it clear that they were going to do that on the Sunday. It was good to see just everybody show up because at other events like DCA and the Bash and stuff, they either have awards or give out, tell people the qualifying order as a way to try and get people to show up. But just the fact that everybody showed up and had a good time was really good. The bit of a, I saw a Jai got tagged in a post saying that 2020 is the year that dudes won't be judged for drinking vodka cruises. Uh, I think the dude at the bar was surprised at how many vodka cruises were being bought. And I think you probably could have counted on maybe 2 pairs of hands how many girls were at the event. So, or at the after function. So, yeah, lots of boys drinking vodka cruises. So, choice of drink for Rev events, I guess.
Vodka cruises, okay.
Um, and then Sunday, a lot more cars showed up. I think just a lot more people actually driving in general, not taking it. Uh, guys not taking it as easy. Uh, not sure I liked the only hour and a bit of, or 2 hours of the first direction. I thought doing it till lunch might have been better. Because we ended up doing what, like only 2 hours or an hour and a half with the number of breakages and stuff
Yeah, it's
early in
about
the day running that direction. I reckon it still only worked out to be about an hour and a half by
yeah.
the time
It
we
was
got on track and did
11:30.
all that.
Yeah, because there's a
Um, a lot of
downtime.
breakdowns.
Yeah,
Yeah. A couple of blown motors. Just yeah, cars braking. So uh, yeah, I would have liked that to have gone to lunchtime at least, and then done the other direction after lunch. But the fact that we then gained 2 corners from the last day that we did, uh, fuck, that track's fun.
yeah. It is fun. Far out. I'm on the gas so much that the car just overheats so
Yeah,
quickly.
yeah, like yeah, it's
I got to do something about that.
yeah, but it's just it's a good yeah, it's a good track. Um, it was interesting to see once the track turned around and we ran clockwise how quickly um, the different styles of entries kicked off. A lot of dudes doing, well, most of the field doing like a big Scando entry into the first hairpin, and then a few guys. I think there's some videos of Fink rubbing his wing uh, along the first wall, just doing driving as hard and fast down the wall as they could, and then just a big single flick into the first hairpin. Uh, Definitely a single flick person. So
Yeah, I remember trying to do a big one in front of you and spinning right off. Yeah,
yeah,
because I got a good run up too. It was so funny.
that yeah, and once we were able to push back the start a little bit, and you could get into third. I think I did a couple of thirds into it. Most of the time I was staying second, but a couple of times I was able to grab third. And with the fact that the track's got so much camber, you can throw it in a lot harder than and a lot later than you think you should be doing it, and then the car pulls up anyway, and then you can get
Yeah,
back on power super early, unless there's a fuckwit and a red 180 spinning out in front of you and almost going up into the bloody conveyor belt behind.
no, it's concrete wall.
Nah, this conveyor belt there, I'm pretty sure.
No, it's concrete.
Nah, I can guarantee you the first part of that corner is there's a tire barrier there at the very first part.
Okay,
Don't argue with me, mate.
all right, all right.
So yeah, you would have been like fairly safe unless you rolled. That's a red
Yeah,
180 thing to do.
it's a 180 thing. Yep.
A red 180 thing to do.
No, just a
Uh,
180 thing.
just a 180 thing.
Just a 180 thing. Actually, no 180s were.
Written off on the weekend.
No, that's unusual. That's unusual from Marilla.
Oh, there's a videographer throwing some shade at you, mate.
What? No, I rarely spun the
No, you're
weekend.
just going off. You just go off track a lot. I saw
I did
some.
because I was pushed off.
Did you see the one? See the one
Behind.
picture where it's your train of guys and just everybody's all scattered all off the
Is
track?
that at Wakefield?
Nah, coming over the last corner when we were running anti-clockwise.
No, that was when
Just
Blake. Yeah, we all sort of everyone started pushing in and further in, and then I went up. Is that the one?
no, yeah, no. You were like way off to the right. Like you had to hook it right for whatever reason.
Where?
I'll see if I can find it. Um, which white 180 was that, Luke? I wonder which white 180 that ended up in the fence.
No, I can't remember.
So there was a 180 harmed in the making of this tour.
Well, there was because there was one that Nick crashed into at Wakefield, but I'm not sure about
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
other one.
And then I saw one on the way back up to Sydney that looked like it had had a bit of a hard time. So I feel like what I need to do with the 350 is put a big fucking smoke machine under the back of it, so that I make it into videos like Scott makes, because I just don't pump enough smoke to make it into the cool videos.
Just run skinnier tires. More
Nah,
camber.
more camber.
More
Just run it
camber.
on like 2 centimeters of tread. Well, that's
Yeah.
how the car used to be set up, but now I
Yeah.
actually have grip. Um, but yeah, at least mine was still in one piece. Well, kind of in one piece at the end of the weekend.
Oh,
Um,
did Luke get you really bad? Because every time I looked up when I was sitting there cooling down, Luke was bullying you, I guess. Like he bullies
yeah,
everyone,
well,
but he was definitely
look,
like not giving you any space.
yeah, look, he's gonna sit there and talk shit in the chat. I can guarantee it. But on his first lap out on the normal direction, I followed him and I was just like, oh, I just want to see. I'm just curious to see what he does, because the dude's a fucking freak.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, I wonder if he'll take it like semi-easy, if he'll
No.
do some,
What?
um, yeah, or if he'll like fuck it up at some stage and like go flying off the track, or make a major correction because he hasn't really seen the track before or anything. Nah, fucking nailed the first lap,
Yeah.
like every corner, no fucks given.
Yeah.
Uh, and I was like, cool, that was a pretty good lap. Then I think he did one more in front of me. And then I'm like, all right, I'll go in front, because I can't keep up with him anyway. And he was a nice boy on that first lap. I left a nice wide line and no contact, no nothing. Fucking next lap, just dives in on me. And then on that first transition back to the right, where you've got like the long connection between the bowl and then
Yep.
along the berm, I sort of ran a wide line, needed to straighten up a little bit, and for whatever reason, he just stayed inside of me and smacked the shit out of my wheel. And then
Did it leave any
coming up
marks
over,
in your body?
uh, not on that hit, that was all rear
Okay.
wheel. And then coming up over the hill, as we were coming out of the last corner, he's like dive bombed the shit out of me and driven into my front quarter, and then we got front wheels tangled. And if you watch Luke's vlog, you see his hands come off the wheel because it grabs wheels. It was enough to just push uh, the front quarter in a little bit so that the passenger door wouldn't open until I shoved some screwdrivers in that to get it open. But that was yeah, fairly mild, so nothing too bad. And then when we ran the other direction, he gave me one good hit, but it was funny because we were running a really good line the whole way through the track, and then just as we'd come down along the concrete quarter pipe, and then that's again the long extension into the bowl, I was starting to lose a little bit of angle, and he just bumped me behind, just in front of my rear wheel, and just pushed the car out under angle, gave me just enough to link the corner, and then flicked it back, and then he was straight back on me.
Yeah.
And it
Okay.
just, yeah, pop, and that video is in his vlog as well, and you just see it pop my car to a little bit more angle, and it just comes back nicely. Yeah, absolutely fucking hilarious. So, but uh, it's yeah, look, in those situations, as long as you run a nice wide line, the damage that you're going to cop's going to be fairly minimal, really.
Well, he's so
Um,
close that it's only going to be like a little rub. Like it's
yeah,
it's only when
it's
there's like that gap that's when it's lethal.
or I drive like a dickhead and like grab a bunch of foot brake or a bunch of handbrake, and it closes the speed really quickly, and then it
Yeah, but
ends up.
Luke's normally on there. Like
Yeah,
like I was watching you and he is not giving you any space.
yeah, and the
Yeah.
fact that the cars are so evenly matched, but he's just got that little bit of extra pace and that little bit of extra technique. And when I say a little bit of extra technique, I mean a fuckload.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, just meant that yeah, it's just a good match. Um, I got to sort out that fucking pedal issue though. It's especially for the So when the car stays, when I'm on throttle for more than 5 seconds, the buddy foot position sensor and the throttle body have a fit, not talking to each other properly, and it cuts my car out. So I've got to do like some weird pedally shit to make sure it doesn't do it. So I got to back out of the throttle every couple of seconds. And the problem with the downhill
Why?
section in our lot, I don't know. Um, and the problem with that downhill, when we run the downhill direction, well, I guess both directions, and you'd be the same because you're on similar power to mine. You're just flat the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure at what point I'm not on full throttle. I think going the clockwise direction, just on entry, I'm off throttle for a second, but not
Yeah.
for very long. Then I'm pinned, transition pinned, pinned down the hill, grab third pinned, clutch kick multiple times while pinned
Yeah.
going up the hill,
Yeah.
flick it to the right, have to get off the throttle, downshift for really quickly, but pinned to try and get over the hill, pinned over the top of the hill, pinned down the hill, grab third, pitch it in, shift down to second for like off gas for like maybe 2 seconds, and then pin the rest of the track.
Yeah. That's the
You're,
way it should
I would
be.
imagine, yeah, like I would imagine you're pretty much the same.
Yeah.
And that's, what do you reckon, a 40-second lap, 45 seconds?
Yeah. On full noise. It's full load on the engine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, it's a fucking workout on the car and driver. So, uh, yeah, flat everywhere, mate. I watch your vlogs. You're using a little bit of handbrake, mate, even when you're leading. Uh, but yeah, that was good. You guys had some hectic trains just before lunch.
You went in on it? I didn't know who was
No,
behind me. It was such a
oh no, it
long
wasn't even
train.
before lunch. It was not before lunch. It was before the direction
Yeah.
change.
Yeah.
Um, no, I'd just gone off to let things sort of chill because I think I started doing like full potato stuff, so it was time to have a break. You know, like you just, once you've spent that little bit too long in the car, you just start doing retarded stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was at that point, so
Okay.
uh, I sort of had to get out of it. Um, and then I went and watched from the main straight, and yeah, you guys were going fucking ham in those like 10, 12 car.
It was
Uh,
long. And then I was wondering about tires because I thought like, something lost grip. So I thought, okay, they're letting go. So I started letting people in front of me. But it turns out it's just the tires. Once they get to 50%, they just went go to shit. So they were
really?
the Greenlanders. So they were really good for the first 50%. Then after that, it just feels really slippery. Um,
Yeah,
so I started to put because I couldn't get off the line quick enough is one of the reasons. And then so I sort of pushed, but then looked back and there's still like 5 cars behind me. I didn't even
yeah,
realize I'm still like I think I'm the sixth or seventh car in the train.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um, I know Ben had the accident with Nick uh, on Saturday, but I don't know if Ben a Canberra local
yeah,
as well.
yeah. He is.
I've never met Ben, but Ben in the white 180 with the black top roof, um, really impressed me. Um, I didn't know who he was chasing me on Saturday at Wakefield, but he managed to follow a good line and keep up with me pretty well. And then I saw him sort of hanging off the back of those trains a little bit, but getting a little bit more aggressive. And yeah, I don't think he's been driving a crazy long time. Um,
Nah, not a craze. Probably it's a few years. So,
but
but
yeah,
it's not much more than that.
yeah, definitely impressed to see him jump in with the big groups because a lot of other guys were sort of, you had the regulars in those trains, but not so many of the others. But it's good to see guys like that trying to get in and push. Uh, and then having Blake and Patterson in his buddy 33 missile there was
With
just,
400 kilowatts almost.
yeah, something like that. definitely exciting.
Except
Good.
he kept dropping fuel everywhere.
Oh, whatever. Doesn't matter that much. Doesn't that make it more? Doesn't that make your tires more sticky or something?
Not when it goes in your eyes.
Well, keep your eyes closed, mate. You're half
Yeah.
squinted anyway.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I learned to put the window up behind him though.
Yeah, I drove most of the weekend with my windows up so that I could turn the AC on between runs. So,
Wouldn't that be nice?
yeah, well, just most people chuck that stuff out, so you could probably get it fairly easy for your 180.
Oh, I didn't want to chuck it out. It was working until it got crashed.
So just find a
The
new
whole
condenser and get it going,
no, the
mate.
whole front end's different. I gave away. The lines were straight. I gave every part away to Aaron. So the lines, I think maybe not the compressor, but I gave all the AC lines and everything else to her.
Yeah. Uh, and then yeah, I think Bo Yates brought his car out. Matty Hill had his car out all weekend. Bo was only bringing his out for the Sunday. Mitch Jeffrey had brought his car out for the Sunday, so there were a few big boys there. But Bo's car broke fairly early in the day, snapped a dry sump belt, and that was him done and dusted. Because I don't think from my understanding, he didn't have a spare. So a bit of a shame to see him pack up that early because I was hoping to see a fairly beat up black 350 attempt to run into the side of him. But yeah, sadly that didn't happen. So we can put the victory down for Luke on that one. But hopefully some more of these sort of things happen and people are more keen to with some of the bigger cars to come out and drive these events. But I think with how smooth everything ended up running once the cars that were constantly braking stopped coming back out on track, uh, and there was a couple of cars that weren't like the same cars that got towed off multiple times. Everything seemed to flow just a whole lot quicker. Uh, I think everybody was probably a little bit worried about not getting enough track time early in the day, and there ended up being way more than enough.
Yeah.
Way more than enough. Yeah, track time.
Yeah. What happened to Mitch? Did he just run out of tires and
I
go
think he
home?
just ran out of tires. I think
Yeah.
he was running semis, and I think he only brought 3 or 4 pairs and went through them fairly quick. So uh,
And Matty Hill, he
yeah, he
didn't have
smashed
any
a diff.
brakes. Oh,
No,
diff. That's right. Yeah.
he smashed a diff on
Yeah. That's,
uh, Sunday morning, and I know Luke and Blaken were just behind him when he did it, and I know for a fact Luke had intentions of trying to wall ride the bloody concrete berm, uh, and then Matty did the oil drop, so I think things got a little bit sketchy for the two boys behind. And then I think they came off track because Luke had something start to go. I think he might have been when he had his misfire, and then the direction change happened, so Luke didn't get a run at the concrete berm, and clearly he was too pussy to do it going downhill.
you just had to give it a moment for a reaction to come through.
Yeah, we'll wait and see what comes through. Um, so yeah, I look forward to Luke's next visit and running anti-clockwise because I'm sure a car's going to be sent up that concrete embankment.
Yeah, we got to make sure we put a camera on there. Have a recording for his runs.
I'm sure he's got one on there. Um, and then yeah, Matty managed to get his fixed. I followed him on one run going in the clockwise direction and kept up with him not too badly through the first 2 corners, and then on that third gear downhill section, well, yeah, mine ain't keeping up with shit. She a big girl. She needs to go to Jenny Craig. So, yeah. Did you? You didn't have any major dramas on on Sunday, right? Other than the fact that your car was cooking.
No, that was it. 130 degrees every 2 laps. So
130.
130.
You ran thick oil, right?
Yeah, I ended up putting 1560 or 1550, whatever it
Okay,
was.
thank fucking God for that.
Yeah.
Because you honestly, you probably would have killed your motor.
Yeah, probably.
It would have been like water inside. You would have grabbed every bearing because it would have been like having water inside your motor.
Yeah, but I wanted to drive.
Yeah, I understand that, but
But
SR's
as soon as it got yeah, it's only more of a problem doing those extra 2 corners. So if a couple of laps I didn't actually I just sort of cruised through those 2 corners just to keep the temperatures down a little bit so I get another lap out of it.
should have been getting more speed to throw it harder down the hill before the uphill.
What?
First 2 corners, and then just slung shot out of that as hard and fast as you could, and then chuck it at the wall at the bottom of the dip before going up
Oh,
the
it was
hill.
usually behind him, so behind someone. So I just didn't drift it and then did the rest of the course after that because I can't really link it anyway. So
Yeah, I have to straighten for a little bit and then
yeah,
reinitiate.
yeah,
But yeah, it's more fun to drift it because you can run along the wall fairly easily from the top section down.
yeah.
Uh, and then, yeah, I guess one of the big notable things for the weekend was the fact that we had guys come from everywhere.
Yeah,
A couple of guys came up from South Australia, uh, Christian Pickering, and I think there might have been another. Oh, he might have been the only guy from South Australia. Then a few guys from Queensland, Luke. I think Tom Gray's from Queensland. Uh, Hayden from Kamikaze came down, but I think he only got 1 or 2 laps in his own car, and then uh, had dramas. I think he got a new slave, which is what he was chasing for all of Saturday, but then I think he put it on and melted it
a
as
new
well.
what?
So a new slave, but I think they're a push type slave cylinder on the clutch, uh, and it melted. So
What
yeah,
gearbox?
probably I think a TR6060 or something like that. Uh,
Yeah, okay.
so yeah, a few guys had come down from Queensland. I know there was a group of guys who had
Loose cunt from Tassie.
uh, I end up doing an alternator as well. I know he'd done the slave first, um, and then yeah, there's I think a couple of groups of guys from Victoria, and then yeah, then there was buddy Timmy Rogers from Tasmania. Look, if you haven't watched Timmy's vlogs,
He did
uh,
one over the weekend because I saw him after everyone left. He pulled out his camera and started talking, so I think he must have been a bit embarrassed.
but
He was on here before.
I don't think he would be embarrassed.
I don't know. He did wait for everyone to leave before he pulled out his camera.
Well, he happily went on stage and started dancing on Saturday night. So, uh, watching the comments. But yeah, Tim street drove his SR20 powered 32 Skyline up from Tassie because he's moving it up to Queensland, and then ended up with a bit of a hit uh, on Sunday. Uh, Somebody had spun, and then somebody T-boned somebody into the side of him. Uh, and the amount of shit that Tim's carrying in that car, I'm impressed that Tim made it back to Queensland without us getting a picture of him pulled over on the side of the road with the fact that the car was just sacked on the ground with the amount of shit that was in the back of that. And then with a 13-hour drive ahead of him and a big dent in the
Oh no,
side
he's
of it
gone to
now.
Sydney.
So,
Yeah,
oh, he's only gone to Sydney. Oh,
yeah,
he's
he's
here
got a
for the
job
week.
for a little while. I think.
Yeah. So hopefully he
Um,
offloads some shit.
I doubt it.
Nah,
And
he
he had to
won't.
put the because the last he runs 205 4017s, I think, for his tires, and the lowest
So
profile they
elastic
had,
bands.
yeah, the lowest profile they had was uh, 235 45 17s or something.
Jesus Christ.
So it didn't fit on his car very well.
Taking bets on how many days to a defect. Yeah, or they'll just look at his two heads and be like, "Look, mate, we feel sorry for you." But then again, it's New South Wales; they'll do anything to charge somebody and take some money off them. So, yeah,
It's the Australian way.
welcome to New South Wales, fucking piece of shit state. Uh, and then I forgot Jake O'Mara, Australia's best or former best drifter from Canberra, Northern Territory, Newcastle, wherever the fuck he's actually based. Uh, got it, brought his yeah, but the car's registered in ACT, so he's at that stage he's a Canberra boy. If he was able to pick his car up from Canberra and come out and drive on Sunday, so that's Canberra, right?
Yeah.
Are you agreeing with that? Yeah.
Yeah.
See, fuck you, mate. You're not from Northern Territory. Uh,
His license
I
says he's
know.
from Northern Territory, but yeah, the car's here.
Yeah. Well, I don't care where his license says he's from. Either way, he's not from a real state anyway. So
uh,
did you did you hold a New South Wales license when you lived in New South Wales, mate?
I don't think he did.
I know. So I know you ran a bit of a couple of live streams
Oh,
on
I
Saturday.
struggled. I don't know why it was
Yeah.
so bad at Wakefield because I never had issues before, but
Yeah.
yeah,
No good.
no. Marulan was fine after a little while, but yeah,
Uh,
and I didn't actually do it because I was trying to catch up on driving after being off track.
yeah.
Because I think if I drove on Saturday as I planned, I would have been conserving my tires on Sunday, but because I had lots of tires left over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I know MPN was doing a live stream on both days. Oh no, I think did he do both days? I know he did a Twitch stream on Sunday for sure.
He did one on
If you
Saturday.
Yeah, so he was live streaming on both days, so as well as taking a shitload of photos. So yeah, probably some of the best photos you'll see from the event, and the fact that his stuff's still up on Twitch. So have a look at MPN Media, right? I'm going to sound like a digital media, MPN Digital Media. Have a look at all his social media accounts. Really good photos, good video, and yeah, definitely some cool stuff that's come up from that. I know he did some on car. I think he was road passenger potentially, and got some photos from on the track. And then I know Scott
Yeah,
Mitchell
he's
did
jumped in with Scott Mitchell.
Sure, while Scott was videoing from the front of his car. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely some cool media coming out from those guys, as well as, man, I love the fact that track has somebody on site who goes out there, takes a fuckload of pictures, and then uploads them to their own Facebook page.
Yeah. It's
Like
good,
that,
isn't
and
it?
they're up by the end of the day. Like, it's super cool. Just the fact that it shows you that they're hyped on it is, and just supportive of it is super cool. Scott's asked in the comments what we think about the drive application for the drift events. I think even for the Rev guys events, it's not as, I don't think it's quite as, I don't know. I need to be careful of what words I use. Um, it's not as, I guess, stringent as you bring the bashes and halfway hangs and glory
No,
days and all that.
I think it's
It's
similar though,
it's similar sort of, but it's you still get
because
a little bit of an array of guys. They're not all your best guys or the best looking cars and all that sort of stuff. It's more the guys that they know that support their
yeah,
events and have been to multiple of their events. It's also the guys that they know will, you know, it's more behavior stuff than even being able to string a lap together. Like there were dudes there who were struggling to you know um, to link every corner, or you know had cars that were braking and all that sort of stuff. But it's more about, I think really it came down to picking guys that they knew were safe with behaviour, and to say thank you to the guys who have supported them through the last couple of years of events and getting Wakefield back and all that. So uh, uh, I know it probably annoys some people, but the fact that the Rev guys too now, and I know for next year they're going to have dates coming out on Monday, but they're going to be running more lesson type days. Uh, so that's where they want guys who aren't that experienced to show up and do those days. Uh, and then the guys who are more experienced can show up and drive these sort of weekends. Uh, and once they're comfortable, that they can jump on board with those. I think something like Spawn the weekend before sort of showed that the shortcomings of having, it's not even too much of a, I don't think having too much of a range of skill levels is necessarily bad. You've just got, your more experienced guys just have to be more aware of who those drivers are, and be like I know there was a couple of dudes there in the BMWs that early on in the day were struggling to you know to link a whole lap without spinning, and when I was behind them and I got waved through the start line, I just didn't leave the start line. I just waited till I knew that they were far enough along the track that if they did have at least one spin, that I wouldn't catch them. So um, I think just being more aware of that sort of stuff is more important. But if you're super green, then yeah, I know the Rev guys are going to be running some learner days again next year. I think even potentially 3 or 4 of those days. So good opportunity there, and even then, go cut your teeth at figure eight in the wet pan, get yourself fairly comfortable. Um, so yeah, um, I've heard small rumors of potentially one full weekend event next year done by the Rev guys. Um, I won't say too much more than that. I think they've definitely uh, worked on some more dates and stuff like that. But yeah, as far as my understanding is, there's potential of uh, one full weekend event next year from the Rev guys. I'm sure your other groups like Spawn and uh, I've heard potential rumors of ADC, Australian Drift Club, running some either Wakefield or Marulan days next year as well. So um, I think we're about to get pumped with fucking track days again. I guess while we're on that topic, Marulan's or Pheasant Wood Circuits put up a post today with um, their own open track days between now and the end of the year, and I think there's 6 potential dates that you can uh, show up and drift between circuit sessions. So 15 minutes drifting, 15 minutes circuit. It might even be like 15 minutes drifting, 2 sessions of 15-minute grip. I would imagine, depending on how many uh, how many cars show up. Oh shit, it wasn't even 6. It's like 8 days between now and December 22nd that you can go down and drift. So uh, that's really cool that anybody who's missed out on this event or Spawn and King is happy to go down and pay for the, I guess they do a bit of a check to make sure you can string a lap together. Then yeah, you can skid Pheasant Wood Circuit plenty of times before the end of the year or before Christmas. And shit, Christmas is 3 weeks away, 2 weeks, 3 weeks away. So yeah, that's yeah, really good.
And if you, because one thing a lot of people were concerned about was the wall fee, like breaking the
Yeah,
wall, but that
yeah, it's
thing
like
is
3 or 4 grand. That's like 4 or 5 grand. Yeah,
not
I
gonna
don't think
break.
people realize like, yeah, I think people thought that they were going to get hit with that sort of fine for like scuffing a wall.
No,
Uh, no,
it's
it's like
it's more
you need
like
to,
just don't be a dick. That's it.
yeah,
Like if
but
you're constantly doing something, then they'll fine you or something. But
Yeah, but like I think they're just worried about the if you damage a concrete barrier beyond its structural integrity, then yeah, you're going to be paying for a new sectional wall. Uh, and I think yeah, the other thing, I don't know if they ended up charging guys for sawdust over the weekend, but yeah, if you go to one of their open days, then you get hit for sawdust as well if you have a motor or something shit all over the track. So, which is sort of fair. It's not within their costing really. So, or else all the costs would go way through the roof in preparation that every dude would show up and drop oil all over the track and ruin everybody else's day for it being slow. Uh, and then yeah, so I know between now and the end of the year, that's sort of the go with them. The Rev guys will be announcing their next year dates Monday, I believe. And then yeah, I know ADC's working on some Goulburn events, and I would imagine Flash should be working on some Goulburn events as well. The other thing that came up today was before the end of the year is also the South and North Circuit event from Driving Sports, and then before the end of January, High Tech's running a South Circuit Saturday night, and then there's a couple of other Saturday night South Circuit events throughout the year. Uh, so yeah, New South Wales is going to get flooded with events. Just hopefully, I guess the organisations don't burn each other out. I think something like the Rev guys have done it right. It's a really good cultural thing. I think most guys are pretty loyal to that group now. And then hopefully the others that run events manage to. And I know the Rev guys aren't going to flood the market. Like they could probably run an event once a month and get a decent crowd at most of those events. But yeah, hopefully the other groups, don't end up flooding it too much and hurt their bottom line on some of those events. Because I think with so many events coming up, that's going to be the scariest part. Well, that's my concern. But look, I hope my concern turns into sheer excitement about the fact that I will not have the budget to drive as often as I would like to drive because all those events are packed and yeah, just sick. Would be ideal. Have you heard? Did you hear anything else, or am I
No,
pretty much on? I'm on
no,
the pulse with
that's
everything.
pretty much the same as what I heard. Yeah, I've heard the same thing.
Yeah,
Except, well, you told me about ADC just before. But
yeah.
yeah.
Um, and then while we're just covering some stuff for next year, uh, rallies dates have been amended. So if you get on the Rally Drift Complex Facebook page, I know that the dates were announced, and I think the dates have now changed. So yeah, just be aware of that if you're interested in doing that series or any rounds from there, because those dates have changed. Uh, but yeah, and then we're just waiting on the Finkinator to get his stuff out for DCA. Hopefully he gets it out before he fucks off to the US of A.
It's pretty soon, isn't it?
Uh, 2 and a bit weeks, I think.
Yeah.
2 weeks. So no pressure, but like pressure. And then I think we probably need to try and get hold of one of the Keep It Reek guys and grab them. I know they're tied up with the Drift Life guys, but they've got their competition coming up next weekend, and if you're not following it on them on the socials, Keep It Reet on Facebook. They're doing their driver announcements for who's driving their competition next Friday night. So keep an eye on that. There's Stewie Bryant's coming across from South Australia. I think there's a few other South Aussie guys. Should be a really good balls to the wall style competition with, I would imagine, not too many fucks given.
Hmm.
So, uh, so Fink's saying he's just waiting on track replies to confirm dates for next year. So keep an eye on the DCA stuff for that. If he manages to score some stuff before he goes away, maybe we'll try and grab him for a quick chat before he goes away with his plans. Uh, uh, but yeah. Anything else that?
Announcement
Anything else?
wise, not that I've seen. I've always just sort of tried to share things into the community page, just so
Yeah.
because I keep forgetting, and it's a good spot to sort of organize things like that, as well as all the live stream from other drift events as well. So
Yeah. Yeah, I've been a bit lazy with some of that stuff, even though I posted twice today. I guess Brendan Greaves is officially
oh yeah,
doing Formo Drift. I think we all had a feeling that it was happening at some stage. Uh, the BMW had been sent last year, and I know he had got his FD license a couple of years before that. And my understanding is that he'll be running. I'm pretty sure, but I could be wrong. He's running Pro 2, so should be stupidly competitive field in Pro 2. But it'll be good to see another Aussie over there and see how he goes. And I would imagine Carl Thompson from New Zealand is potentially doing Pro 2 as well. So if not, a full pull uh, in Pro. So Tita dates also came out. Uh, just a lot of info out lately.
it's that time of year.
As Luke, as Luke said in the comments, Archie's closed all of Jan. All their noise days are taken up by Speedway over the Christmas break. So Archie shuts down for that time, and it's probably not a bad time to have down middle of summer anyway. On a short track, probably not amazing for most cars. So nice chance for guys to recoup and get their shit back together for the fact that you can drive twice a week there for the other 11 months of the year. Uh, over the weekend as well, the FIA Intercontinental Drifting Cup was on, but EJ and I haven't managed to have a chance to catch up on that yet, so we're gonna save comment on that. But it was won by the same Russian guy who had won the year before, so we need to catch up on that, and then we'll have a bit of a chat on that at some stage if we both catch up.
Yeah, I plan to.
Yeah.
Maybe just do like a quick flick through rather than watch. But
Yeah, the only thing I really saw from it was a run from inside Mad Mike's car,
oh, he
and
went.
yeah,
Oh, really? That's
well,
cool.
it's doesn't the Humble live in Japan?
I have no idea. I heard so many different rumors about
Isn't that the Magic
his.
Garage car?
I don't know. I have no idea. Everyone sort of says different things and how the
Well,
car. Yeah, I have no idea. It's not.
well,
It's not. It's not Mike's car.
yeah, I'm pretty
Is
sure
what
it's
I'm
owned by a
hearing.
Japanese garage.
So it's
So,
entirely up to whoever's owns the car at the time.
and then Mike sponsors to pay for it all. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And then Fink's just let us know that he's finally hit 10k subscribers. I'm surprised uh, that many people are stupid enough to subscribe to his shit, but isn't it amazing that he, if people haven't and I'm sure there's a lot of Aussie drifters who don't watch Adam LZ stuff, but he put up a fairly interesting video yesterday, I think, talking
I didn't watch
about
it.
uh, what's the title? Why vloggers buy so many cars, financial breakdown. And he goes into some interesting details about some of the stuff. And it's just interesting to even like a quick,
Like, because I'm
like,
probably not gonna watch it.
no, just watch that one.
Oh, really?
But it's funny if
Okay.
you go and look at Fink's numbers on number of watches on things, and things like in the last 2 weeks, the highest number of views that he's had is on the one or one of his highest number of views was new car, Nismo what? And it's like more people have clicked on that because he's bought a new car. Where all the other stuff, similar numbers, and then if it involves smash everything, heaps of people watch it, and then if it involves my wife doing something, more people watch it. So, um, typical, and it's stuff that Luke and I had discussed before. It's just
This
funny
sounds
to
like
see.
everyone knows already.
Yeah, yeah, but I
You
mean,
just
like,
have
it's
to
just funny
play on
looking.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, you look at that sort of stuff, and then you listen to a video like Adam's talking just about how much he can make on a new car because it evokes that feeling in people, and it's just highlighted in something like Luke's channel when stuff like that comes up. That's where the higher views come from. So I'm sure Luke's making millions of fucking dollars now from his channel. Can probably retire from drifting now.
Yeah. The free
Uh,
stuff everywhere. That's all I'm hearing about.
but yeah, have a look at Adam's video. It is
Okay.
yeah somewhat interesting. Just a bit of a breakdown on the sort of money that he's making on certain videos and all that. So I think he's just going to try and do a few more vids like that. So a little bit more informative, a little bit gives you a little bit more understanding of why they do some of the things that they're doing. Uh, that's about all the drift stuff that I've kept up with.
Hmm.
Uh, my 350 needs a bit of a look over before I go and drive it again because it developed a misfire at the end of Sunday. But generally, that's a coil pack in 350s. It's not uncommon because they get fairly hot. So
And you got
I'll be
spare ones, don't you?
yeah heaps.
Okay.
Although one less because it's in Luke's car again because I saved his ass. Um,
But you can just bill him.
yeah, I fucking have.
Yeah.
That's like a $3,000 coil pack.
I know. I heard that too.
Yeah, I got the good ones. They'd come out of another car, so
And
definitely good
did you
ones.
sign it as well, or did you forget?
No, I don't need to sign it. It's got my fingerprints on it.
Ah, okay. It's worth
It's
more.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely worth more with my fingerprint on it. A little bit of DNA. Uh, but yeah, anything else you want to cover?
That's all I've got as well. Like just the stuff from the weekend. Said, like you said, we haven't watched FIA at all.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, I don't know. There was a topic that Stewie brought up in a post a few weeks ago. I think maybe it was last week before. How I can't remember the exact wording of it, but it's like he sort of mentioned if judging
Oh,
actually
yeah, I know.
is judges are actually required to go to events and
Yeah, could
if
they just live stream
and just
and
have
judge?
and judge just based off the live stream because all the audience is going to be watching through the live stream
Yeah.
as well, so then they
How
get the
how
same
long?
point of view.
So it goes. How long until drift events are regularly outsourcing judges from around the world um, via live stream? Uh, I just feel like you get a different, and I understand what he's saying is sort of like people are watching it at home already, so they will get the same feeling as the guys judging it from home. But there's one major issue with that. If for whatever reason connection goes down, the event stops. Like the event's dead at that stage. Uh, Two, you never get the same feeling via camera as you do in person.
Yeah, but the feeling that shouldn't really
That's what.
matter because it's meant to be technical.
No, I understand, but there's still a style aspect to it, especially if the runs are identical. Um, yeah, I don't know. I sort of look at the background in figure skating, and they could do something similar, but one of the big excuses for those big events is the fact that people can get together and socialize. Like those events don't really happen for any other reason other than the fact that people can, um, yeah, get together with each other and socialize, and that's a big part of those events in general, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That shouldn't really influence judging though. Like it shouldn't just because you can get together and socialize doesn't mean that you can't
Yeah,
actually
but why do
put
those events exist in the first place?
the events. It's bragging rights. Like it's always been bragging rights.
Yeah, of course. But if the drivers get to sit there and brag, then shouldn't the judges get to sit around and feel like kings for a day, sort of thing as well?
Yeah, but that's what Stewie is sort of saying is it's not the point. Like it's it needs to be more technical rather than if this guy's your friend or not. And then because
No, of course.
you've seen, I'm sure like a lot of people have seen
Shit
you
calls.
watch a competition and it's like this guy's your mate. Like you're kind of wondering why they're getting through.
Yeah, but I guess, yeah, of course. But I still think the major thing of it, the fact that if a connection goes down, your event stands still, like you're stuck.
Yeah.
It ain't going anywhere. Is one major part. And then, but even being able to try and communicate tweaks to a course and do all that sort of stuff really does become an issue. Um, I think because you can't be like, oh, we'll move the clip. Oh, who's on the ground there? Oh, we think we want the clip moved about 5 meters further up the track and all that sort of stuff. I think all starts to get a little bit more complicated when you're stuck only being able to see what the camera's seeing. The fact that you can't, it's harder to watch practice and do all that. Well, you can't watch practice and all that sort of stuff to get a feel for, oh, this is where we should lay out our move the clips and do all that. It's fine for something like an FD or a D1 that if they're going back to the same tracks over and over again and there's no significant changes, then it's not really a big deal. But if it's the first time you've tried a track, there's huge potential that they're moving clipping points before the end of the first practice. But then you've got to live stream all of practice because.
Yep.
And then you've paid 3 camera guys to show up and video, 3 or 4 camera guys to show up and video the whole weekend when you could have just brought in some judges that could just be there without needing that logistic stuff going on.
I think there would be camera guys anyway for the whole weekend. Like you'd probably, I don't know about, I don't maybe not in this country, but in other countries you could just pay them. Like they probably don't cost that much to get a good enough camera person to actually to video the practice
Yeah.
times. I think there probably is more issue with communication. Like it's going to be so much diffi- difficulty with communicating between the judges, communicating between judges and drivers,
Yeah.
and judges and all the other officials that are there.
Yeah.
It's a good idea, but unless everyone is remote, including the audience, you could not have an audience present because it will take away from that. Even if is a single judge or multiple judges there, and you have multiple judges remotely, it's still going to um, affect the result. So it's
Well,
yeah, to get the
I sort of
goal of the
yeah
event, you need to the organizer or the manager or whoever the coordinator needs to pick the judges that are right for their event and the event
yeah
that they want to produce.
well yeah, and I agree with that. And you sort of look at the direction a lot of other sports have gone, and they still haven't gone to a system where the dude standing on the field is just basically a robot being told what to say and do. Yeah, they can call upon video replay and an external referee or whatever in situations where they haven't been able to see it, but you know, your rugby leagues, crickets, whatever, would have way more accurate calling if they were just using the cameras at hand to make all the calls. But yet they still don't because they want everything to run that little bit quicker. You know, be a little bit more emotion based with the feel of what's going on in person, and the fact that yeah, like for most sport now, the crowds in general, especially in anything other than maybe some soccer leagues in Europe and some sporting leagues in the US, the crowds are fucking way down. You could just be like, well, let's close the doors. We're videoing the event already anyway. It's all being done purely on stream. Then we don't have to pay for security, pay for cleanup,
Yep.
pay for all this sort of stuff. Um, and just yeah, run it purely off the back of being able to sell to sponsors the number of views that you know that they're getting for the event.
Yeah.
But I
But
think it
there's
starts to
some
lose its
yeah.
personal personal vibe at that stage.
Well, it's the atmosphere for the drivers, the competitors, and the viewers, like
Yeah.
everyone involved going to that event. So,
Well, what's like
um,
at esport events? What's the point in having an esports event done in a auditorium with a live crowd and all the players in the same space? Isn't the whole point in something like that the fact that everybody could just be at home versing each other and
yeah,
everybody could watch it from home? People still want to be there and
yeah,
sense the tension and all that sort of stuff. And I think again, a referee or um, a judge can only get that proper sense and that proper vibe by being there in person. I think it would start to lose. Like even you look at D1 with the fact that they're using an electronic judging system, people get a little bit confused, and it does get a little bit stale. I think because of the fact that you can't. And I know it's probably not a Japanese thing to do, but say for FD they started using DOS and there was no judging input at all. Who do you boo at that stage? Like you're not happy with a call. Who do you hate at that stage? You're just like, fuck the computer.
yeah,
Like it just loses its like sometimes a shit call is a good thing for a sport because everybody fucking talks about it. People get
yeah,
mad, people get more passionate about it. Where
yeah,
all of a sudden it's like, and it's a very Japanese thing, I think, like being sensible and being, thought out and thorough to have a computer judging system there because everybody's just like, well, the computer said so, so that's the way it's going to be. But in in Western culture, they'd just be like, motherfuckers don't know how to program that shit, like all that. But I think it just loses atmosphere, it loses vibe, it loses personal connection. Yeah, I think just so much of it gets lost at that stage.
mm.
And I think that's the
But
direction the world's going already anyway.
yeah, still you could like you'd still have the judge online and watching, but I mean they've got a replay and or I don't know how much you'd actually save if you didn't have to put them up, like didn't have to bring them over, or how much you would actually gain from having them overseas or remote.
Yeah, and like, would you say Ryan Lontaine should just be the judge that judges, 7 days a week as often as possible? You'd be like, nah, I don't want that dude judging my event.
Yeah,
So, um, yeah, simple as that, really. Like the fact that the styles in different countries are very different. Maybe if you couldn't, say for South Australia's series, Stewie was off somewhere like booked to be on a holiday or a wedding or something, and he could call in via video link to watch and call a series that he's part of, but he's just had a date clash, then yeah, like it's still, a stronger understanding of the drivers and whether or not the people in that event are capable of doing what's being asked. But could you imagine being like, for say Spawn the Challenge, getting, messaging like a Ryan Lontaine in the US, and then uh, I don't know, one of the Irish guys from Drift Games, and then some random dude from the UAE, and being like, hey, can you judge this event? Like, they'd just be like, okay, yeah, cool. And then it's like, what the fuck is this? And they're all asking for different things, wanting different styles, wanting different. It's just, yeah, it just becomes a bit of a clusterfuck. So, yeah, I still think it makes more sense to just have the people there in person because, yeah.
What about more judges? So instead of just having 3, you have 10.
Welcome to welcome to fucking figure skating.
Yeah, I know.
Fuck.
Yeah,
More
and
dickheads.
you would have more experience with that than, well, we wouldn't have any in drifting because it's generally been 3. So
Yeah, I still think 3 is. Yeah, I think probably 5 in some ways would be better. Um,
you know what they did in D1? They had 3 judges plus they had 2 like corner judges or something like
yeah,
that. So
that dep-
they yeah
that depended if they could actually see the whole course or not.
yeah
Um, and I think that's also having good track officials. If you're at a track that you can't see all of it, then you need a couple of good track officials who are almost judges that you can just radio in, and they can just be like, yeah, they didn't drift the first corner, like at Mount Gambier or something like that. If you can't see the whole track, or I know at D1 when I went to Fuji, there was a flag that would come up to say whether or not the driver had made it the whole way around the corner during qualifying because they disappeared behind the trees
yep.
from judges' view. So yeah, that sort of stuff can come into play. But to me, 5 is that sort of would be that happy medium because it's sort of one or two bias in a group can make things a little bit questionable, but generally you're not going to get 3 guys who are a super biased one direction over another. So therefore, 5 would sort of cut that out. Where 3, yeah, there's still a decent chance that there's some bias at play, um, like we've
It's
seen
always easier to
previously.
influence the result when there's
Oh
bias.
yeah,
You know,
you've only got to
when
convince one other person. Where
yeah
when you've got 5, you've got to convince at least 2 others.
yeah
So yeah, I think that's. But yeah,
makes it a bit more
I don't
complicated
know.
though overall. Like
Oh
you got to try
yeah,
and
yeah, of course,
find
more expensive and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, I think people still think things are being run at, you know, with heaps of money and all that sort of stuff. But I don't think there's any event in the world that's, I think the only ones that could probably pull off that is probably Drift Masters European Championship would be, I would think, or one of the UAE events could probably afford to bring in
yeah
uh, a couple of extras,
yeah.
maybe even some of the Southeast Asian series. But I'm just not sure FT and all that could afford to put another 2 staff members on. I'm not sure, Drift Games in Ireland definitely wouldn't have been able to necessarily pay 2 more staff members. DCA ain't going to be paying for a couple more staff members. Drifting SA, if they take any more judges on, are going to lose 2 more drivers. Like that's sort of what comes down to. And if you bring guys in, then yeah, then you're paying more money and you just don't have it. So 3 is a good happy place from a financial point of view at this stage. And I understand, Stewie's point, because you could definitely have way more judges at that stage. But again, the biggest problem is like you look at a rule book for something like gymnastics or figure skating or sports like that. the criteria is very, very set. Why you're supposed to be giving this score, why you're supposed to be doing that score, and it doesn't matter which venue you go to, those criteria never change.
Yeah, but you've seen or you've experienced some bias against you.
Of course, but that's why there's like
Because
7 judges and 3 technical, but the criteria is still the same every time you go there. So you get a little bit of bias, but the criteria is still the same. You show up to a drift event at a different track, the criteria is very different or could be very different.
yeah,
What the judges are looking for from a like an impact point of view, you show up to a DCA, super aggressive driving on the clips, all that sort of stuff. That stuff's fine, but what they're actually, where the clips are laid out, how they want entries done, depending on that, will change. And if the judges aren't all on the same page as each other for that particular layout, it can fuck an event really badly. Simple as that. Like if say you myself and let's say Luke are judging an event, and you're like, I like handbrake entries. I'm like, I want to see a fat scando, and Luke's like, oh, I want to see a big single flick, but none of that's communicated. Well, you
you'd
fucked
end
it
up
before
with
you've even started.
something vastly
Like,
different results.
so without that stuff being super super set, and I think in a lot of drift events that stuff's not super super set, that it can have a huge impact on the vibe and the flow of an event. So
Okay. What about Drift Australia when they did Oran Park? They
yeah,
actually
3 separate judges,
they separate
because they
the
couldn't see the whole
judges.
track.
So
They
they've got
judge
one on,
sectors.
yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking retarded.
So I was watching one of the judges, and so what I saw happen was he would grab the result for the other 2 judges first, and then write down his result and give it. So ultimately, he could actually determine the outcome because he already got the results from the other 2 people first. So they weren't sort of independent
Yeah,
at that time. And yeah, it would mean that I guess, because you're concentrating on like a corner almost, or 1 or 2 corners, you didn't have to remember or scrutinize as long. But
yeah, but the
if
problem is, in a situation like that, either way, you're gonna have, unless you're completely blind to the section of track before or after the section that you're looking after, you're gonna be influenced by the stuff that's happened before or after your section. Simple as
yeah,
that. Because
so
where does it start and where does it end?
well, yeah, they did.
You can have a set point on the ground. I understand that, but that
Yeah,
doesn't mean it's not gonna have an impact in your brain.
no, because well, even the impact that it'll have coming into a new sector, like another sector, like where how how does the performance in the sector before actually
Impact the
influence?
other part. Well,
Yeah,
exactly. Like, so say you've had a massive straighten in sector one, or you've driven straight for whole of sector one, and then you've doored the other dude for sector 2 and 3. Does the score from section one saying, oh, well, that's a 0, say like that run is done, like that run is over, there's nothing that can be done to overcome this? Or do they go, okay, well, I'm giving it a 10-0 in my sector, or whatever system that they were using? I'm sure it was that back then. And then in the next section, it was, 9-1-9-1 to the dude who should be on a 0 for the rest of the run. Well, you've just complicated shit again.
yep,
So, yeah, it just becomes a clusterfuck. And something even like Oran Park, you and I know a different time, and if it was to happen now, you'd probably have a camera on turn one and the judges sitting somewhere down the hill. Like, would be the ideal.
yeah, you
because turn one is you. As soon as they're starting to come out of turn one, you can see the whole track from down the bottom of the hill. You just can't see turn one, the entry into turn one, and until about mid corner of turn one.
Yeah.
So for a circuit like that, you'd want just one single camera that you could feed a live stream and watch that, and then the rest of the run you'd watch by eye, and keep all the judges together now.
Yeah, you could. Even if you elevated them a little bit, if you can
Oh
find a
yeah,
way to
yeah,
elevate them, then just
yeah. Then
being,
you,
yeah, you'd be able to see most of it. Because it was only because there's a big dip in
yeah,
the,
huge elevation change. Yeah,
yeah, you could not see the first corner. But if you can elevate them somehow, then
yeah, and like even like say a Mount Gambier, if I'm not sure what you guys did for Cash Kings, but you guys couldn't see the run up for the entry.
no.
So were you guys getting fed if there was bullshit going on off the line?
Yep.
Yeah, so simple as that. Like that's an easy solution. And same with, I'm not sure once they were sort of, I know you guys basically didn't use the last corner as much of a gauge really, but you sort of lost a little bit of vision there. I'm sure if anything funky went on, or you questioned if anything funky went on, you're asking track officials.
Yep. Yeah. But
And
generally, it
if
was pretty good because you can kind of
you get a vibe for it too.
yeah, you can just depending on where the car's positioning is and how they enter and exit. It's such a small corner that if they didn't do the right thing, you'd be able to sort of have a very good guess at where they actually what they were doing during that
Yeah,
point that we sort of lost them. But it's
and then you
it's
just
only
ask
like
for
a
a yes or no.
yeah, it's only like a 2 meter area that we can't see in that
Yeah,
corner.
yeah. But if you get that vibe, at least then you can radio in and be like, "Hey, we've got a feeling this happened. Is this what
Yep.
happened?"
Yeah.
And if they're like, "Yeah," then you're like, "Okay, well, I'm right on it."
Yeah.
And most guys who've been driving for long enough and don't drive with their head firmly implanted inside their own asshole because they're using their own body as a helmet, um, generally have a good rough idea on what's going on before or after, depending on body language of cars and positioning on track.
Yep.
So yeah, look, if yeah, I still think if it's a startup series, then you definitely have to have judges on the ground because they're the sort of people who are going to educate. If it's a high level comp, it's potentially got the backing and all that to be able to afford to have judges there on the ground. So you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
say you're going to start up a series in, I don't know, a country that wouldn't have much going on. You know, Vietnam, for example.
You know what would be yeah, okay, go on. Sorry.
It's pointless video linking into that. Like those drivers need good experienced guys there being like, oh, you guys are like pretty good, but you're just missing this and this, and and doing that sort of stuff. Like there's too much communication that needs to go on that you could do it via a live stream. And if it's an FD or something like that, then yeah, you really want bodies on the ground. And if it's an FIA style event, it's purely for wank. Those judges want to be there on the ground. It's basically just a who's who of an event, and they're all there to party and drink together anyway. Like the actual event is a sideshow to the social side. So,
Yeah.
what were
Yep.
you gonna say?
No, I thought it'd be interesting if you actually did say, for example, you have all of the FD judges from America live stream, judge through a live stream in say like Australia. So they say like you pick Wakefield and then you get them to do judging. I'm just curious to see what would actually happen.
Well, I
And
think, but I
they
think
would do the
anyway.
briefing. Yeah, they do everything that they would normally do, but remotely.
Yeah, I'd prefer to see in some ways somebody set a criteria. You can run the competition, have it already run and done, whatever, and then take those videos and send them to the different judging, different series judges from around the world, and just see what sort of results you get across the board, and then if it lined up with the result from on the ground.
But then you wouldn't get the progression through the competition the same.
No, of course, but you could still sit there and watch, you know, X number of runs and and have a rough idea on if the styles are the same and all that. So
And then the other thing would be they're not really sort of running their criteria. So I'm just curious to know if it's actually possible and how they would actually influence the event.
oh, of course. But then, as Logan said in the comments, there are comps where 3 judges have 3 different ideas, and that actually happens. So
But usually, well, I'm going to say usually, but
what? How can you
so
say usually when that's
no, it's so there are competitions out there that there is coherence between the judges, and that's what I'm more interested in rather than those competitions that are they just don't really. I don't know. They're not consistent.
yeah? And I guess the reality in those situations is those drivers shouldn't bother to go back to them. Looking at you, Mister 120Y.
Well, anyway, whatever.
What are you gonna say? Go, go,
Hmm.
drop it like it's hot, mate.
No, no,
Pussy.
no. I'm good. All good. No, that's all. That's all. I was my line of questioning that I had for today.
I got a message.
Oh yeah.
It says yes, mum.
Yes.
Good boy.
Okay.
Yeah, look, definitely interesting question, but yeah, I think like the reality is, other than a few comps in the world, it's for fucking fun.
Yeah. Well, drifting's for show, and
Yeah,
it's the impact. It's all bragging rights. So
yeah.
yeah.
Like shit. Like there's not much to be made from it, other than like, yeah, it's literally by winning you're able to sell yourself a little bit more to a sponsor. But really, you look at something like an FD, it's the package of the show that's worth more than your actual results, and then how you package yourself within that show
Yeah. Yep.
is more
Yeah.
important. Like if you want to make it a full-time thing, then it's up to the series to give you the best platform possible, not necessarily the best judging possible, but the best platform possible,
Yep.
and then you try and sell that, and then how you
Yep.
sell yourself on that platform. Simple as that. You
Yeah.
could have three monkeys.
That's
You could have 3 monkeys pulling marbles out of a fucking bag to pick winners, and as long as the platform's really good, then you can still, as a driver, make it a full-time thing.
yeah. No, that's a good point. Especially for drifting.
Oh, and of course, there's some Aussie drivers out there only for wins, but at the end of the day, as EG said, that's purely for bragging rights. Like, and those guys are going to be unhappy with results that go against them, even if they've spun 4 times and the other dude's done a fucking clean run. They're going to find a reason to have a whinge about a result if they're going to whinge about a result. So, that's just the driver attitude thing. So, and shit, if I'm a series organizer, I would rather have the judges on site to take the heat for their own fucking decisions than them then coming back at me being like, get the live stream back up so I can speak to these judges who are on the other side of the planet. Do you agree?
Yeah, yeah. Well,
You probably you as a judge
it'd
probably
be
goes,
easier if it's remote, then you can just like, oh, I'm out of here,
yeah,
and you just close instead of
yeah,
yeah. Some pretty fired up drivers out there.
yeah. Like as a judge, yeah, fuck yeah, put me on the other side of
The
the live
planet.
stream. But if I'm a track official or a event organizer, nah, fuck that. Judges can take the heat for their own
Yeah.
decisions.
Yep.
So yeah, but yeah, look, definitely interesting question, interesting topic. Something like the drift bit, might change the way that is, but again,
Have you got one yet?
nah, where the fuck are you, Michael? I know. I did all that driving on the weekend. I could watch my 6,000 runs back again. I didn't even turn my GoPro on that many times on the weekend.
Really? I got oh,
Yeah,
I got the new GoPro. It's really good. GoPro
the
8.
new one.
Yeah, not the so GoPro 8, not the Max. The Max would be nice too, but that wasn't on
That
special.
one's one with super stabilized or whatever, right?
3.6. The GoPro 8. Well, they're both stabilized.
Yeah. So I've got the 7, I think, and it's
7.
really
Yeah,
good.
that's
But
still that's really good as well. But
uh,
because I came from a 5, I think,
yeah, yeah, oh yeah.
and
There's the step up in quality between the two is massive.
yeah, just the
The stabilizing is just way better.
stabilizing. The biggest thing I got was the what's it called, dynamic range, because I had the GoPro the 5 on or at Wakefield and the morning of Marulan, and then I put the 8 on, and just like being able to see it out of my windscreen, being able
Yeah,
to see inside the car and outside the car was really good. So
yeah,
I'm definitely going to use that more when I'm driving because usually it's either you see what's on the outside or you see what's on the inside of the car, and that's it.
Y-
And usually
yeah,
it picks the inside.
and the yeah. Well, the early ones you had to do the whatever the spot something or other was.
Spot
Uh,
metering.
yeah, and that would mean that you'd sort of lose what was happening inside the car, but you'd get a good view of what's happening outside the car.
Yeah.
But most people generally didn't do that and would just see a big white wall of nothingness out of
Yeah.
windscreen
Yeah.
and lots of hand movements in the abyss. But yeah, the last couple of ones that have come out, yeah, definitely way better. And the fact that there's the image stabilizing as well. The only thing I don't like, and Fink's videos show it up pretty badly, is the the GoPro with the G meter in, well, the accelerometer inside of it, swing the camera ever so slightly because
Really?
it's taking a bigger frame right to do its stabilizing,
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
and then it like does its wizardry
Yeah.
to make it
Software.
so that
Yeah.
the image stays still. But if you watch Fink's videos, when he transitions, the camera
Yeah. Wobbles.
swings ever so well. It just swings and sort of keeps pointing that direction for a little bit, and then it'll
Yeah.
swing back the other way.
Yeah.
And when there's video of like his accident, number one, I know that the whole camera moved, but the fact that that also stabilizes so much, you lose a lot of that impact as well because the camera's sort of moving with the car a little bit, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, that didn't look so harsh.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, that's all the problem with all of the stabilized.
yeah,
So that's one thing I did with my action cam was I try and turn off stabilization, like the optical stabilization, because that usually it looks like the camera is sort of like is floppy. So like when you turn, it sort of moves a bit to the left, or
yeah,
you turn again and moves a little bit to the right. But actually, it's not moving at all. It's just a stabilizer because it thinks that
yeah,
it's trying to stabilize that movement. Um,
yeah. And I guess it's worse in drifting because the fact that accelerometer's like, why am I sideways?
yeah. Well, they've got. I thought I haven't played with it that much because I only just opened it for the weekend,
Yeah,
which is probably a dumb thing to do because I didn't really know. I thought
how to
it'd just
work it.
be yeah. Well, yeah, you kind of need to test it, which is dumb. I keep telling everyone just make sure you have a play before you use it. No, I didn't even do it.
Do as I say,
Hypocrite,
not as I do.
hypocrite. Yeah. Anyway, whatever. So, uh, I think I didn't really notice that too much in my video.
Yeah,
Um, but I think there's like a different stabilization lock in this, so you can actually make it lock more or only in one direction. So you might be able to stop it
get
from
rid of
like
that swing.
flopping left and right,
Yeah,
possibly.
yeah. You're also on helmet, right?
Yeah, I'll put on the helmet.
Yeah, that's
It's
probably why as well.
yeah, it's really good there. I think GoPro's the best sort of form factor for that I found,
Yeah.
because it's flat
Did you
and I
see
don't.
did you see where I run mine? Like how
Yeah,
far
on
up in front of my eyes it is? No, I don't do mine on the
it
side.
don't you? What
Mine's
do you?
like mine's like literally like up here. like right in front of my eyes.
Oh, really? I
But
do it like
but if
so I can see. It's probably on my
yeah, over
nose.
top of it,
Yeah,
yeah. But then you
I can
still
see
end
it.
up with it like just sort of pointed at the wheel. I've managed to get used to having it
Yeah,
up in front of my eyes because as long as it's close enough to my face, then I
yeah,
don't focus on it. I focus past it,
yeah. It's
even
got
if
to
it's
be
like
pretty close to your eyes, like height
yeah,
wise. Yeah.
yeah. It's like right up in front of my eyes, and yeah, I don't have too much trouble with it. People probably look at it in the car and be like, "This dickhead cannot see past this," but you'd be surprised that when you have it that close to your face, how much you just don't take any
It's
notice of it.
it's like your nose. You don't really see your nose until you
Yeah,
concentrate on it, and then you can actually see how big it is.
yeah. But it definitely makes it heaps better because when some of mine from the bash and all that was that little bit lower, and then the last little bit that I've been videoing, it's been that little bit higher up in front of my face, and
Yeah.
yeah, definitely better than this shit.
Yeah, because I did that as well. The same because I had the
Nah,
action cam, because of the form factor of that, I put it next to my head, and you can. I try to get as close as possible, but then
nah,
it just doesn't look
it's
right.
nah,
And then when you lean as well, like it goes,
yeah,
it
nah,
looks funny.
yeah, nah.
Yeah.
I'm up in front of your eyes and nose type person.
Yeah.
Jake reckons he can see his nose all the time. Maybe you could get an inbuilt.
It's got
Maybe
so
you could get it.
big.
Maybe you
Chase.
could get an inbuilt camera in his nose.
When he picks his nose, he puts two fingers up. That's why.
Fist.
It fits.
just, just
uh,
I'm not that far behind him on size with nose, so um, yeah. Anything else you sort of want to cover? What's your plan between now and when are you planning on driving next?
when I don't know. Are you actually considering going
One of
to like?
those Marulin days?
Yeah.
Uh, maybe. I'll see how hectic the end of the year gets. But considering I can do a full day on a pair of tires, as soon as the tread blocks fall off the tires on the 350, man, the slicks just work all day. And the same thing at Archie. As long as you heat cycle them, the once the tread blocks are gone, they last ages. Uh, so yeah, I might, depending on how things are going over the next couple of weekends, but all sorts of Christmas stuff going on.
Yeah. Um.
If
It's not a good time for most of the people drifting. I think
yeah,
so.
if I my plan is to have a look at the car tomorrow. If I can work out the misfire straight away and work out which coil pack it is, and then get tires changed in the next week, then I would potentially just I've got the freedom to just put the car on the trailer and go
Yeah. Do
because
Do
the
we have
car's
to
ready to
actually
go.
book beforehand though?
Potentially, but like what I mean by like I could decide on Friday and be like, is there any empty spots and
Yep.
still show up and go. So
Yeah.
um, I think having dates like that almost make it harder to decide to go because there's so much freedom and opportunity where the one-off big events you're like, nah, need to be there for that, need to make it happen.
Yeah.
So
And then
yeah,
you get that group of drivers there, so it's fun to drive with all those other people in that community as well.
yeah, but that's provided they want to actually fucking tandem. I'm gonna call out. No, I'm not gonna say any names, but Luke and I went to go behind somebody, and then all of a sudden we got given this hand signal because the driver in front didn't want Luke chasing him. So
I can understand that.
yeah, I can too, but he only hits people he knows. So
Yeah, he knows a lot of people.
no, I don't think he knew this person in particular. So um, yeah, yeah, not that impressed.
And besides that, I don't think until the dates come out next year, really need to sort out my cooling issue. So I think the next track day I'm gonna do water sprays, and then if that doesn't really make a difference, then oil cooler.
Um, the why don't you just You probably won't want to spend money on it though. I was gonna say, why don't you just do water meth injection and just be fucking done with it?
No. Well, I've got all the gear for just water sprays on the squad.
Sprays.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if worst comes to worst, then just do a water meth kit on the car and never have an issue again, really. Drive your intake temps down or just drive all your temps down. So
Yeah. How much is that going to
cheap
cost?
in. No, the worst part is the fact that you've got to keep buying more water meth to to keep it going. But I think a kit's probably $500 or something with a controller.
Yeah, I'd probably rather get oil cooler.
Well, that's probably not a bad idea to start with either. But yeah, Americans use heaps of water meth injection for turboed cars and seem to have good gains from it. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's not a bad option, especially in Australia. Like any event that's run between, and we got lucky on the weekend. Let's be real. For the 30th and the 30th of November and the 1st of December, temperature was pretty fucking mild.
It was. It was fucking cold.
Yeah, like the fact that it snowed down south that weekend was probably the reason we ended up with it being as mild as it was. Could
Yeah.
you imagine going and hitting that in the middle of
Normal
Jan?
normal temperature.
Yeah,
Yeah. It'd be freaking hot. Like
yeah,
I think it's gonna be like 30 plus this weekend.
yeah,
So it's not. It's only a week away, or a week apart, and it'd
yeah.
be so much warmer.
So yeah, and yeah, any car's gonna be cooking after a full lap of the track. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely worth a look at. So anything else you want to cover? Or happy to sign off in this one.
No, I'm happy to sign off.
All right, well, keep an eye on all those dates that we sort of mentioned earlier. Keep an eye on the Rev guys, Revolution Motorsports Facebook page. I know Monday they're trying to have dates out for next year, and then I'm sure the other clubs and other groups will start announcing some of their stuff. So
Cool.
and yeah, we should see you next week unless we get sick of all your bullshit and then we don't do it. So.
Oh,
And
it's
if
like
anybody wants to come on,
yeah,
if anybody
it's our
wants to come on
drunk
for a chat,
downtime.
just hit us up and we'll think about letting you on. Hey, nothing's a
Yeah, just
guarantee.
apply. You have to apply.
Yeah, just make sure you reply.
Same criteria as bring the bash, whatever that was.
Yeah, just be a sick cunt. All right, sign this
Okay.
shit off.
All right. We'll see you guys next week, hopefully.
Oh, I like how she says hopefully, and I'm like maybe.
Maybe. Hopefully. Maybe. Oh, whatever. Okay. Well, anyway. Okay, I'm closing off then. See you
Bye.
guys.